Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Board of Education special monthly meeting. Today's date is September 22nd, 2025. I'm calling the meeting to order at 5:45 p.m. Noted at the meeting tonight is myself, President Lisa Johnson, First Vice President Juan Leon, Second Vice President Chris Neary, Trustee Megan Messman, and absent from the meeting tonight for trustees is Leslie Kretz, as well as Carol Super. Also in attendance is our superintendent, Dr. Jenna Talbot, and our assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction, Ms. Mary Stevens, as well as our legal counsel tonight, Lisa Hutchinson. At this point in time, I'm gonna have a motion to enter into executive session for the purpose from advice from counsel, update regarding negotiation, as well as particular person's employment history.
Motion.
Chris Nearing is first,
Second.
Ron Leon is second, and the time is 5:45. I forgot to mention that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. We'll resume open at 7:30. Thank you for coming.
The Amityville Union Free School District Board of Education special session meeting. Today's date is September 22nd, 2025, and we now are resuming open at 7:48. Please take a note of the exits that are clearly marked in the event of emergency. As a reminder, there is no smoking on school grounds, and if you can kindly silence your cell phone as the meeting is going to start taking place. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. Talbot, I'm going to turn the meeting over to you.
Thank you, President Johnson. It has been a pleasure indeed working with our student board members who have exemplified great leadership at their schools. And we're going to ask that they provide their reports to the Board of Ed at this time.
Good evening. The start of the school year has been nothing but exceptional. Fall sports are in full swing with a special shout out to our new boys volleyball team, while band and orchestra are preparing new pieces for the winter concert. The marching band is currently practicing outdoors for their upcoming performance at Newsday. Additionally, the cell phone ban is becoming part of daily life. Lots of students say it's not as bad as I thought it would be. While many students are still struggling, the general consensus is that everyone is adjusting well. Starting this week, the policy will also be enforced more firmly. Students who fail to bring their yonder pouch to school will now receive detention rather than just a warning. Overall, the school year is off to a strong and positive start, and we look forward to the progress ahead. That's it.
Thank you. Sarai, just one quick question. Did you guys attend the ex officio meeting,
The virtual
meeting?
Yes.
So any feedback from that you feel that you would like to share with the community?
I mean, not really.
So what about individuals who have been serving the capacity before and the national student board member? Any tips that they provided to you guys that you felt were important?
Not that I-
Anything about how to prepare for the meeting and maybe how to advocate when you're here at the meeting, and maybe meeting with more people within your school? And how do you meet with more people in your school? How do you get people who typically don't answer questions? So it was a good virtual session that was there, and we'll talk more about it and maybe some tidbits that maybe you guys could bring to the table as you move forward.
Okay.
Thank you. Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so I have a question for Ms. McQueen and Ms. Mullings. Quick question regarding the pouches. Just an opinion question. Is it easier for you to receive those pouches and bring them home as opposed to having the school hold on to them? Or what works best for the students?
I think it's best if the students take it home.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Talbot?
Thank you. We were able to join our two student board members on the virtual training session from NISBA, and they were greeted by the Chancellor Young, and they were also greeted by Commissioner Roser of the New York State Department of Education. And so there were children from all over New York State listening and learning and realizing how important of a role it is to serve as a student board member, and that you have a powerful voice, and that the board is here and your superintendent is here to listen to what you have to say. And good evening to our members of the Board of Education once again, and a warm welcome to all who are in attendance. I too am pleased to report that we're off to a fantastic start to the school year. Our students, scholars, and staff have returned to our buildings with great enthusiasm and a renewed sense of purpose, and the positive energy is really felt across the district. I'd like to provide an update on just a few key happenings across the district as it pertains to health and safety updates. Our Director of Athletics, Mr. Evan Farkas, has drafted a plan in accordance with the New York State requirements that all school districts must adopt a cardiac emergency response plan. Our district-wide safety plan will be updated to include this new requirement. The revised plan will be presented for the board's review and approval at the October 15th Board of Education meeting. It is with great pride that we announce Northwest Elementary School was selected as a winner of a Crayola Walmart contest. They were the recipients, clap, 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 yes, celebrate, of a generous donation of classroom supplies from Crayola and a complete faculty room makeover from Walmart. What was once an outdated space has been transformed into a warm, welcoming room where our dedicated teachers and staff can recharge, reconnect, and be inspired. Mr. Francisco and his team of volunteers from Walmart, the dedicated faculty makeover committee, faculty staff, and parent volunteers were present and all helped to make this a reality. A special thank you to Ms. Deborah Lee, our social worker, who wrote the grant for this good cause, and a special shout out to Principal Kathy Hyland for her leadership and support. We are deeply grateful to both Crayola and Walmart for their investment in the well-being of our staff and the future of our school community. Some of our early wins this year: we are pleased to announce and report that attendance among our student scholars is strong across all schools, and over 95% of our parents are now contactable through Parent Square. If you've not had an opportunity to download the app, please do so that you can stay in touch with what is happening in the school district. We are looking for class parents, and we are looking for classroom volunteer readers throughout the district. There's a place for you. The Yonder Patches, as Sarai mentioned, has been a game changer in minimizing distractions. We hosted our first Chew and Chat at the Amityville Memorial High School, and the feedback about the pouches was incredibly favorable. I'm so proud of the work of our administration, faculty, staff, students, and parents who have put great effort into making this year a success. So we look forward to continuing with our student and staff recognition programs, acknowledging and celebrating the great work across the district, as well as our positive behavior incentives to further engage everyone in the learning process. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Talbot. So at this point in time, if there's any community input on agenda items.
Good evening, Chris.
Hold on a second, So so when he goes to talk, that's where you can start the 15 and you start the 3 minutes. Right? Go ahead, thank you.
Ready? Chris Papil. Okay, I got something I want to say that's not nearly what you think it's gonna be. Okay, I'm looking at two A, approval of board meetings, board minutes. Why do we have out of, I could see like maybe item 15, not having the minutes ready for that yet to review. But what about 1 to 14? Okay, 1 to 5, one of the board members wasn't even on the board. It takes you this long to review. I mean, reviewing the board minutes also gives you like another function. So you keep fresh in your head what you did the time before. And to have 15 meetings unaccounted for, you got to do better than that. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other community input on agenda items? Seeing none, I'm going to go to the agenda. So for agenda items 2A, 1 through 15, can I have a motion for agenda item 2A, 1 through 15, or do you want me to table these items?
Well, Madam President, I was not on the board for items 2A, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, I technically was. So I would not be able to vote on items 2A, 1 through 4.
Anyone else on the other? So for myself, I've had the opportunity to go through all the minutes again, to listen through the audio, as well as confer with my notes. But then when looking at my notes, there were times that my notes were not as accurate as the minutes. So there are some minor changes for some of the minutes. So I'm comfortable with voting on them with the changes that we need to make, but I just need to find out from the board members. So Juan has told me about 1 through 4, so I have to table those. What about 5 through 15? Do I need to table them, or do people need to review them more? If you need to review them more, then please, what I'm going to have our district clerk do is put everything up as drafts, the way that they are. And then if you have any corrections, you need to make the corrections so we can finalize these minutes. So I'm waiting to hear back from Megan from Trustee Messman and our second Vice President, Mr. Nairn. So do I need the table?
I was ready to approve 1 through 5, 7, and 9. There were a few that I had just reviewed for the first time from June, so I agree with the community member that we have to do better and really just follow our policy. I think our policy says that even that we should be putting up the draft minutes, meeting minutes within 2 weeks of the meeting with the watermark draft. So we had our own issues with, changeover in our district clerk and whatever else delayed this. But there was no reason that we shouldn't have put up the draft minutes for the community. So I was ready today to approve 1 through 5, 7, and 9. I do have comments on 6, 8, 10 through 15. And I will scan them for the entire Board of Education and the district clerk.
All right, so I'm going to just make a motion to table agenda items 2A, 1 through 15. Have a motion to table agenda items 2A, 1 through 15.
Yep, motion to table. Second.
Juan Leon is first, Chris Nairn is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 4-0.
But we're gonna still post the drafts?
Yeah, I'll work with Anne Marie to get them all posted.
Thank you.
Yeah, can I? So for agenda items 3B 1 through 4. 3B 1 through 4. Are there any questions on 3B 1 through 4? Can they be a second and final reading? Or does anyone need to review them any further? I'm sorry, 2B, 2B 1 through 4. So does anyone need to review these policies anymore? No problem. And if you have any
Yeah.
suggested changes, then you can mention them here, and then we could, then at the policy committee meeting next week, we can address the changes.
Yeah, the reporting on the child abuse in the educational setting, it allowed for the building administrator to kind of weigh in on if they felt it was worthy of pursuing the next steps in the process, where I felt like it's too much of a risk to leave that up to a building administrator, where it should, if it's reported to a building administrator, it should automatically get reported to human resources,
Right,
who
so,
are the experts in that subject matter.
right, so what we'll do at the policy committee meeting this week, let's make a
do that.
note of it and we can discuss it further and make a final decision and present it back to the board
Okay.
at our October 8th meeting. Any other any other feedback?
So, the facility use, I did mention this in executive session, so I'll mention it out here, and we also, others spoke to it as well. There's confusion with the insurance requirements, the umbrella / excess liability. Everything that is on the agenda for today for facility use we've been told, has been confirmed with our insurance carrier as being adequate. But I think that the policy committee should go back and clean this up so it's not an or situation and it's clearer to any community organization that's looking to utilize the facilities.
Thank you.
As
Any-
far as,
I was gonna say, any other comments on those 4 items?
I'm still, like we said this, I said this when we did the first reading on the display of the flag. I don't necessarily feel that we have to fly the flag at half-staff for the death of a past board member. I know it's like, I don't know, might as well update it. And then the regulation, I would talk about that in the policy meeting as well. It seems ambiguous that it would be it's just like, it can be flown at half-staff or as determined for past employees, so that's, I don't know. I would just remove that.
All right, so when we go to the policy committee meeting, we can bring that back to the table and then bring it back to the board. Some of the things that you're speaking about are things that were spoken about before, and it was a decision to leave it in, so we can go back and take a look at it and then bring it back to the board. Any other comments on 1 through 4? Anything from 5 through 8 for the first reading?
Yes, Madam President. Items B 5 through 8 are actually part of the corrective action plan, which has not, which the board does not want to approve. But regardless, the policies can still be worked on, whether the board is going to approve that or not. So that's the reason why I reached out to the New York School Boards Association, got those sample policies, sent them over to legal. Legal did review it, and I am happy to see them on tonight's agenda.
Does anyone have any comments on these? Is anyone comfortable making the first and final reading, or do you want to do a second reading? So,
I would recommend a second reading.
Yes, the same.
Okay.
I think there's some gaps, there's some updates that are needed in some of the fields. And then is there, like, can we just immediately comply with this?
once the policy is approved, yes.
Well, okay. So we have like areas set aside for, like lactating for the, what is it, 95/20 in every building as defined in this new policy that we're,
Dr. Talbot?
We'll provide the areas to the board.
okay.
So
Thank you.
at the policy committee meeting, we can flush that out.
Make
if
sure that
there-
it's
Right,
in
that's clear.
line with the policy.
And Madam President, while we're on that subject of compliance, just because I don't know, do we fully comply with the gender neutral single occupancy bathrooms? I know that some bathrooms do have signs. I just don't know, do all bathrooms have those signs?
I think, I'm not, Dr. Talbot, you can answer, but I know that some bathrooms, like you said, have signs. I'm not too sure. I think there are certain bathrooms that are designated each in the building that are gender neutral bathrooms.
So at present, our Director of Facilities is providing us with a checklist on which bathrooms may not have the gender neutral signage outside. So we can provide that updated list to the board when it's provided.
Right, and then that we can, if it's available at the policy committee meeting, we can have it then. Right. So I'm going to go down to agenda item 2C.
Oh.
I'm sorry, any other
One-
questions?
Yes.
Sorry.
So 4321 should have actually listed on here, should have been 4321.2, because in the action plan, it was mentioning preschool special education, which as the missing policy, this policy we already have in place.
Thank you. So we'll address it at the policy committee meeting. Can I have a motion for agenda item, I'm sorry, any other questions on, under 2B, 1 through 8? All right, seeing I'm going to go over to 2C1. Can I have a motion for agenda item 2C1, please?
Motion.
Second.
Chris Nair is first. Juan Leon is second. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I do have discussion. I expressed interest in seeing the compiled contract with the memorandum of understanding that the Board of Education has been provided with. I have been reassured that this is going to happen and that there's nothing that is else that's going to be evaluated. So the fact that we have an agreed upon memorandum of understanding is all that the board is looking at tonight.
Madam President, if it's all right, can I ask our council to elaborate on this?
It should be on. Nope. Megan, do you want to pass your microphone?
It's not working. Yes, there was a question about essentially the difference between a memorandum of agreement and the entire collective bargaining agreement, right? So the memorandum of agreement outlines the changes to the collective bargaining agreement that have been agreed to by the parties. So it outlines specifically the salary terms and any other specific areas of the CBA that are going to be changed. The CBA is the collective bargaining agreement. And the parties agree to it. And it's outlined in a 3-4 page document that these are the sections that are going to be changed. Once that MOA is ratified by the union and now, is up for ratification by the Board of Education, it becomes the actual change to the contract. It can be appendix to the contract, like attached to it, or the contract can be updated by typing in or incorporating the changes of the MOA into the CBA. So I believe what's being questioned is whether the entire CBA should be changed before there's ratification. That's not the typical practice. And so here, what is being presented to the board is a memorandum of agreement, the agreed upon changes between the union and the district as to the changes to the collective bargaining agreement that once approved should be implemented or incorporated into that collective bargaining agreement. So are there any other questions?
Do you got any other questions on this?
Well, in other words, is this in good order to be voted on tonight?
Yes, this is in good order to be voted on. You're voting on the MOA that specifically outlines the agreed upon terms that the parties have negotiated.
Any other questions on this item? Any other questions? Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries 4-0. Can I do agenda items 3A, 1 and 2 together, please?
Lisa, before we move on from 2C, may I have the floor?
Yes, go ahead.
I have a motion to amend the agenda to add item 2C2, resolution requesting complete AAA contract.
Do we have a second for this?
Second.
Okay, so whereas the Board of Education has been requested to approve the Amityville Administrators Association contract without the complete updated agreement for review, thereby be it resolved that the superintendent shall provide for the Board of Education the complete updated AAA contract on or prior to Friday, October 10th, 2025. So that's the resolution. I understand that it might not have gone through all of the parties' review and approval by that time. The request is such that it be progressed quickly here after today's meeting. I was very surprised to find out that the ATA contracts had yet to be fully completed, and we had voted to ratify that in February, early February. So 7 months later, it's still not complete. And I know that it's paperwork. Everyone's getting their raises, but I would like to see the paperwork progress quicker. We just discussed how the MOU is really just ready to be put into the contract and completed and reviewed and finalized. So that is why I'm requesting a timeline. And it is not that it had gone through everybody at that point, but that the MOU had been incorporated into the contract document by our legal counsel prior to October 10th. I'm sorry, Friday, October 10th.
Any other comments on this?
Well, Madam President, I'm not exactly sure about this motion, because we have been told that the contract is in good order to be voted on tonight. And something I would like to see, but I'm not prepared to do a resolution at the moment, is to have all contracts, not just the AAA, but also the ATA and custodial units and others, posted online. There are school districts that do post their contracts online as a matter of transparency. That's something I would very much be in favor of, but I don't know if I'm not fully understanding the motion.
So thank you for the resolution, trustee Messman. One of the things that was explained, and if legal wants to explain, I don't think there's a need to explain what is that it could take a couple of months for this to be done, right? So putting a timeline on it of October 10th is a little concerning to me. So, but thank you for the resolution.
And
And
so again, it's not that it's signed, it's that we get it back from our legal counsel with the MOU incorporated into the document so that we can keep the process moving.
but it's not just from council, it goes back and forth from council to the AAA. And so it goes back and forth. So it's something that if there's a delay on either end and that October 10th deadline is not met, then that's my concern. So
Okay,
I
so
know that,
that's-
so,
Okay,
But-
so that's fine, you can.
okay.
vote
So all
no.
those in favor to amend the agenda to add agenda item 2C2?
Aye.
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 I'm a no. Motion fails to add to the agenda.
Okay. I have another motion. I move to amend the agenda to add item 2C3, a resolution requesting the cost savings from combined Northeast and Northwest bus routes.
You said the cost savings to
from
combine.
Combined Northeast and Northwest bus routes.
Northeast and Northwest bus routes. So you're looking for the
Do you want me to read it or should I?
Yeah, go ahead and read it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Whereas the 25-26 annual school year budget included separate northeast and northwest bus routes. However, the northeast and northwest bus routes were combined for September 3rd through the 12th of 2025, and the Board of Education was not aware of, nor did the Board of Education approve the combining of these bus routes. Be it resolved that the superintendent shall provide for the Board of Education the cost savings realized from the combined northeast and northwest bus routes from September 3rd through 12th of 2025 on or prior to Friday, February, I said February again, Friday, October 10th, 2025. So this resolution is just asking for what was negotiated as being a cost savings from combining those two buildings' bus routes for the 2 weeks that it occurred.
Okay.
I understand that we pay for transportation on a monthly basis. That came up last year when there were requests for additional transportation related to pre-K students. We, doing anything mid-month didn't really make sense. So I think that by October 10th, we should know what those 2 weeks cost compared to the rest of the month.
All right, can I have a first and second on this to amend to add?
Motion.
Chris Naren is first.
Second.
Megan Messman is second. Any other discussion on this item? Can I have a motion to approve amending the agenda to add this item? You can have a vote, I'm sorry, to amend it, a vote on this item to be added, sorry.
Aye.
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 It's a no for me. Motion fails. Any other resolutions?
Well, on September 10th, I provided to the Board of Education during our work session suggestions to the superintendent's goals and
That would be on
requested
the-
evidence.
That would be on the old business. Yeah, that's on the old business. Okay. All right, can I have a motion for agenda? Can I do 3A, 1 and 2 together?
Yes.
Can I have a motion for agenda item 3A, 1 and 2?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Juan Leon is first, Chris Naren is second. Any discussion on these items? All those in favor?
I
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. I'd like to welcome Dr. Stephen Landau. I don't know if you want to join us at the board table. If you'd like to, you're more than welcome. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you for the Board of Education for your confidence in Dr. Stephen Lando. We're happy to have you on board. He comes to us from the Great Neck School District. He's already brought a wealth of knowledge and insight into the operations of the Human Resources Office. And I have to say that on behalf of Mary Stevens and myself, we're very happy to welcome you. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
And I'll present you with your badge officially because he starts tomorrow morning.
I think he starts tonight. Congratulations.
Can I do agenda items 3B, 1 through 5 together?
Motion to approve.
Juan
Second.
Leon is first, Chris Naren is second. Any discussion on these items?
Not to take away from the spotlight of these teachers, but now that we do have you sitting at the table with us, Dr. Lando, we did have discussion in executive session about the tenure packets and possibly expanding what is included to provide the Board of Education with further insight as to the results of the the education that's being delivered from each candidate as it crosses our table, and specifically just more quantitative results, the data, and like, passing rates, Regents passing rates. So something obviously for further discussion, but you were not in executive session since we just appointed you.
Any other discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Congratulations. I'm not sure if they're here tonight. Are any of the teachers here tonight? Or no? Okay. All right. Can I have a motion? I'm going to do agenda item 3B6 through, and I'll make the adjustment. Can I do it all the way down, or does anyone need anything to be done separately? Can I have a motion for agenda item 3B6 through 3B71?
Motion.
All right,
Second.
Chris Neeren is first, Juan Leon is second. So for 3B number 7, it's just, there's a slight change. There is, the effective date is 10/20/25, and the probationary period is 10/20/25 to 10/19/2028. And for number 12, the name there is, it's gonna be a teacher that's being recalled as an elementary teacher, and it's Kristen Ventelli Tucko, right? That's the name that's gonna be added there. And then for 23 and 24, that's, even though the names are the same, one responsibility is connected to the middle school, the other one is connected to the high school in terms of responsibilities. Any other questions or comments on any of the items that are up for motion? Right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Are they here? No. Okay. Okay, I have a motion for agenda item 3B72.
Motion.
Chris Neer is first. Can I have a second? Can I do a second? Lisa, can I do a second? LJ, second. All right. All those in favor for agenda item 3B72? Aye. All those opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed.
Motion fails. Can I do agenda item 3B73 down to 3B101 altogether?
Motion to approve.
Second.
3B73 to 3B101, Juan Leon is first, Chris Neeren is second. Any discussion on any of these items? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Megan?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the summer appointments were just sort of a clerical error, right? There, if anybody was looking in detail, the summer success cleanup here. Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Can I do agenda items 3C1, A through I altogether? Or, yeah, I'll have to do it, yeah. 3A, 3C1, A through I, can I do them together? Or do I need to do anything separately?
I'm okay with it together.
Megan, can I do them together, or do you want me to do separately?
Motion to approve.
Juan Leon is first,
Second.
Chris Neeren is second. Any
Yeah.
discussion on these items?
We had, in executive session, talked about motion to approve through November 1st. Most approved subject to receiving updated insurance if insurance was going to expire during the requested duration.
And go ahead. Just,
So there was a suggestion to update the resolution to ensure that the insurance carried through the use of the facility. So I think there could be a motion to amend the motion, amendment to the motion to read that the approval is subject to the users providing updated insurance that spans the facility's use time period approved. Correct?
So, Madam President, just can I ask a question? So what we're saying here, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that um, we have individual groups that would like to use the facilities. They have valid insurance, but that insurance policy expires prior to them having the event, in which case we would require updated policy information.
Correct.
Okay.
So this just ensures that you get the updated insurance policy during the course of their use of the facility. That lasts throughout the course of the use of their facility. As protection for the district, obviously.
Can, if possible, can we take note in public which insurance policies or which groups will be expiring?
The board can, or you can
go ahead.
just have it apply to everybody so that they ensure
Yeah,
that
just apply
their
to everyone.
insurance is covered. So I don't know if you know all of the ones
I
that
think
are
I
expiring.
think it's better just to apply to everyone across the board. So just in case, I would hate to mention a couple of people, but then we miss other organizations.
I'm just asking because I'm curious to know which policies, insurance policies will be expiring, so I know to revisit those. That's my question.
So if you want to look at your backup information and take a look at
Yeah,
it.
the first one, the CYO basketball. It expires on November 1st, 2025.
Okay.
And they're requesting to use the gyms through February. So I'm just trying to do my due diligence to say,
Yeah.
yeah,
absolutely.
that we want to make sure that it's clear that they can use the gym up until November 1st and then
Right,
they,
right, and the whole point of this is that I will just make a note that around October or November, I'm gonna say, did we receive an updated policy? That's all.
That's fine.
Are there any?
The Rotary is fine. That's the one.
and I don't,
And the other
want to
ones,
check the others? I'm not sure.
I did look at the other ones. I think I think they were all okay, but I think by saying,
Well,
I-
I mean, I just flipped through and Girl Scouts of Suffolk County is the same thing, November 1st, 2025. So,
so by leaving it blanket for all of them, I would
think that's what
recommend
we're
that what
doing.
we would do is that if you want to go back and take a look at everything, just to make sure.
Yep.
So,
fine.
just blank.
so this is a motion to amend to the motion is subject to updated approval of the time period that is approved for, right? So I can leave it like that and we can just vote on it.
And this would also be subject to those that are incurring overtime for staff, like on the Sunday use. As we did last year for a Saturday use, we had the organization cover the employees' overtime.
To be consistent, yes,
No, wait, I'm sorry. You're asking if we're including charges on this
which is part of the
facility?
policy, yeah.
Like as part as they would be responsible for it as far as the policy.
I'm a no for that.
But it's not being consistent with what we did in the past as part of the policy where individuals use the facility on the weekends.
I voted no last year too. And I don't,
Okay,
and
So-
it's not in here and it hasn't been communicated with the organizations either.
All right, so we're
Have
gonna
we-
leave it.
Have we told the organizations that that's in consideration?
So what we'll do is that we'll leave it as is with the motion to amend the motion, subject to updated approval of the time, and we will leave the adding of the cost for use of facilities to make sure that if all organizations have been notified that there would be a cost for use of facilities on the weekend. Right? So that will not be part of this voting motion right now. Yeah. All right, any discussion on these items? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Can I have a motion to amend the agenda to add agenda item 3C1J, which is the use of facilities for the Amityville Sports Hall of Fame?
Motion to add agenda item to the agenda.
Juan Leon is first,
Second.
Chris Neeren is second. Any discussion on this item? This item was presented to us today, because the updated information was provided. So any discussion on this item?
I would just say again that we were told by the superintendent that all of these insurance coverages were checked with our insurance carrier and are in compliance with our policy.
Any other comments on this item?
The only comment I have is I'm glad to see Amityville Sports Hall of Fame come back. I know that they didn't, they had to meet the requirement of the higher insurance limit that was set by the board. But they came back and they're complying with it. And I'm glad they're doing that.
Any other comments? All those in favor for amending the agenda to add this item?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Can I have a motion to approve agenda item 3C1J?
Motion.
Chris Neeren is first,
Second.
Juan Leon second. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. All right. Can I have a motion for agenda item 3D1, please?
Motion.
Chris Neeren is first. LJ is second. Any discussion on this item?
So I had questions why it wasn't a complete treasurer's report. And I was told that it was to be provided after the audit. So I guess I'm inclined to just have a complete treasurer's report and approve a complete treasurer's report. I'm also not clear why, the audit that ends on June 31st would impact the ability to put together the expenditures report for the month of July.
Yes, Madam President. I also second that. There have been certain board members, including myself, that have been asking our financial office to provide us with clarification on certain finances, provide us with complete treasurer's reports, give us a sense of where we are budget-wise. And the answer, like Trustee Messman said, is absolutely correct. We are waiting for this audit to be finalized and continue, and that's the audit, I believe, from last school year. So we still haven't found out how we closed the books or how are we doing now. And I think that information can be provided to the Board of Education.
Any other comments on this item?
No, thank you, Juan. I completely agree. And I had asked for the appropriations report through last Friday. And I don't think that that's what I received. I think I received the appropriations report only through July 31st. Well, the whole board did. Because there's I'm pretty sure, it says right at the top of the page, July 1st to July 31st, and there's no encumbrances, for example, for bus monitors. And what jumped out at me too was an adjustment, because it was the month of July only. We had an adjustment for our payments to charter schools. So I did want to question that, but I know Mr. Schneider isn't here. I don't know, Dr. Talbert, if you can speak to that. If we had additional students that we didn't account for in the budget, that we had to make that adjustment.
There is an increased number of students who are attending the charter schools. I don't have those numbers with me at present.
Yeah.
The auditor was in district today. He is starting the work, and he understands that the goal is mid-October to have the audit report to the board. So once the audit report is provided, you will have concrete information on how the district completed our fund balance, because the books will be closed and the numbers will no longer be moving variables.
Is that we have an October 15th, if needed, meeting on the calendar, and then we have an October 22nd. So, are we getting can we define what date we're gonna get the audit report? If the presentation is on the 22nd?
So we have spoken to Cullen and Danowski, who is doing the audit report. He feels that the October 15th date is quite ambitious, but he's working diligently to close it out. As soon as we're able to ascertain from him more definitive deadlines, we can give the board a date as to when they will receive it. We asked him to have that to the board prior to October 15th. And so we are progress monitoring that as we move forward.
So is it the 15th is ambitious for the presentation or for the report?
For the report, the presentation is scheduled for the
Is
22nd.
it that, okay. Well, so right now we're hoping for the 15th is what you're saying. Thank you,
That's what we're planning for.
thank you.
Yeah.
So, were
No.
you looking at the schedule?
You were
just
looking
now?
at
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
just
I'm
confirm
looking
the
at it,
date.
I'm looking at it also, but also too, we continue to wait for October 15th when there are certain board members that when we did receive that audit in late July that outlined some of the policies that weren't in compliance that are on tonight's agenda, and also outlined some financial fixtures that we should have been working on. That's something I really, really wanted to see in the corrective action plan, but we refuse to move that forward. And we continue to wait and wait for the 15th when really a corrective action plan, when we have deficiencies in some of our financial controls, should take a precedence, in my opinion.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this item? Go ahead, Dr. Talbot.
So trustee Leon, I believe you're talking about two different reports. You're speaking of the risk assessment report, which Mr. Snyder did say to you that in October, he would provide the corrective action report to the board. The one that trustee Messman was asking about is the actual end of the year financials, which is conducted by Cullen and Danowski, our external auditors. That is the report that we're looking to receive by October 15th for the audit committee presentation on the 22nd. The corrective action plan that you're speaking of is in progress and will be presented to the Board of Education in October, as our business official had shared with the board.
Dr. Talbert, I do respect that, but it really is the function of the board that if we, as a whole, and that's not happening, but as a whole, if we said we want these items to be worked on immediately because they are financial, you know, I lost my, right,
So-
financial deficiencies. So if we wanted that to be corrected, the fact that they're being worked on, we've been told they're being worked on. We've never received any kind of update except for something verbal that they're working on. But what? Like which deficiencies have been worked on?
So there were 28 deficiencies labeled as low to moderate, and all of them are being worked on at given times. He also expressed to you that if he provided you with the report prematurely, you would not have the justifiable information that you need to be able to forge ahead. So we ask for your, continued patience, that the 90-day window has not yet arrived, and we are within compliance to provide that report to the board, and it would be considered a timely fashion.
And going back to the treasurer's report and the next audit committee meeting, that's October 22nd. We already have moved that up because the last couple of years it has been in November, and we were saying that that was too late. So we moved that up into October, so therefore we're going to be getting that a little bit earlier this year.
Okay, yes, because that's when it's due, right? It's due to the state in October, and we've been late. So we're doing better. I
so-
agree.
Go ahead.
But, and then also with the treasurer, I don't know how that links to the treasurer's report, because I do want just like an actual complete July treasurer's report. So is this gonna come back, in October complete?
I can't.
Yeah.
The treasurer's report for July would come back complete after the audit is done.
Okay, so we can just wait.
Any other discussion on this item? All right, so all those in favor of approving the treasurer's report?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed, it's incomplete.
Motion fails. All right. Can I do agenda item 3E, 1A, and B together? 3E, 1A, and B. Can I do
Yes.
them together?
Motion to
I have a
approve.
motion for agenda item 3E, 1A, and B. So it was Juan Leonis first, Christina second. Any discussion on these items? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 4-0. Can I do 3F, 1 and 2 together as a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Chris Nares first, Juan Leonis second. Any discussion on these items?
This was the update to the professional learning plan that we had discussed, thank you. You can expand on that? The FERPA training and the edit?
The FERPA training is on it. The grade bands align now with the years that move into new schools, and I adjusted the mentor language that had been left in there.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries 4-0. We're down to old business.
I guess I'll take it. We have a existing vacancy that obviously can't continue to remain vacant, as we had a meeting canceled last week and we're at bare bones this week. I don't think it's wise to invest the estimated $20,000 in a special election, because who knows if somebody's gonna resign right after that election, and then we have to spend another $20,000. It is not the school district's responsibility to pay for someone that decided to step down for whatever that reason is. And I am against that method of filling the seat. I believe we would need to appoint somebody, and we should figure out how we're going to go about doing that.
Madam President, I am in agreement in part with Second Vice President Chris Nearing. I am not in favor of spending $20,000 to host a special election, especially with the amount of turnover on this board. In my opinion, it's not a wise decision to do. I would rather see $20,000 go to almost anything, or better yet, put it directly into the classrooms if we have $20,000 sitting around. So I'm not in favor of that. I'm in favor of holding out until the May election. Let the people have a choice. There will be 3 seats on the ballot. They can pick the 4th board member as well. It's democratic. It's the people's choice. It doesn't cost us an extra $20,000. That's my stance.
So, um, you know my stance, because I called the resolution in August for the special election and it failed. I don't think that $20,000 is a lot of money for a term that's going to last through 2027. And it would be the community that was deciding who would fill the seat on this Board of Education. We are receiving $40,000 for selling a little slice of our sidewalk at the high school. We're receiving $2 million from the state. We just figured out that we removed the Warrior logo for $38,000 less than we budgeted for. I just asked and it failed. We combined bus routes. There's been ways to find money. $20,000 and $120 million budget is not a lot of money to afford the community the voice to fill the vacancy.
Thank you. So for me, I'm honestly torn in the middle of whether to leave the seat vacant into next year, election, or going through the process for appointment. So I'm torn. I'm not too sure which direction I want to go.
And I just want to point out to the public that if someone is appointed, that seat would then still be up at the election. So it's not like they're appointed to continue the remainder of the 2 years on the term. That seat would just be appointed up until the election in May.
But I think that's in conflict with what the legal memo that we got.
He's right.
No,
I thought-
if we had the special election,
Election.
that would continue
Right.
throughout the rest of the term.
But if it's an appointment, it's only up until the next election.
So the problem with the appointment is that if the board majority would have the pick and the board minority voice is lost. When we did the hiring committee, we pulled names out of the hat. I don't know how you could possibly do that. I don't know if we would consider that for filling a seat. The only requirements there's not like extensive educational requirements or there's bare bones requirements to put your name in and apply for or run for a seat on a Board of Education. So I'm opposed to thinking that this Board of Education could actually have a productive conversation about filling this seat. I was like scolded for questioning the tenure approach in executive session. So to think that I could have a conversation, I don't believe it would happen.
Any other comments on this item? Any other old business, new business?
Well, Madam President, before we move on, can we, I just want to make sure I get an understanding of where my fellow board members stand.
I said that I'm torn between either leaving it vacant or
Right.
appointing. I have not made a decision.
Right.
So we're not on a consensus on what
Right.
to do.
Right, I'm just trying to get, so trustee Messman, you're in favor of a special
To
election?
the special election or
Okay.
putting names in the hat.
Well, no, I didn't say that. I was just trying to recap what we have decided in recent history, this Board of Education, as to how do you pick somebody or volunteers for something. We are volunteers. I think there's a perception that Board of Education members work for the district, but we do a lot of work, but we are volunteers.
I hear you, try to take my salary. It's not
All
there.
right. So I think everyone has expressed an opinion on this. and we'll just
So
ro-
so Chris, I mean, how do you feel again? So you're saying that you,
He already stated how he felt.
I do not want to leave the seat vacant, but I do not think it's wise to spend money on a special election.
so you would be in favor of waiting until May to fill it?
No,
No, I do not want
he
the
does
seat
not
to be
want-
vacant because we've had,
So, okay,
so
but
many-
you're in favor of appointing?
yes, I don't know
Okay.
which way would be the best to appoint somebody. That would need further discussion, but I do not want to leave the seat vacant. And I
Okay.
don't want to spend the money on a special election.
Right, so I mean, it seems like we're all over the place, so.
Right. Okay, that's what
It looks like it remains vacant.
right, that's what I was stating, that everyone has expressed their point. Chris expressed his point, I expressed mine, you expressed yours, and Megan has expressed hers. Any other old business or new business?
Yes. On September 10th, I brought to this Board of Education a marked up version of the superintendent's goals with additional evidence requested. During that meeting, I was thanked for the work that I had put into, but it was voted down. There was no discussion about bringing it back tonight, and it is now September 22nd, and we should have finalized the goals for the year in August so that it would have been carried over to the building administrators. So I would like to understand if anyone reviewed the work that I put into the goals and the additional evidence that were requested.
So yes, I looked at the goals. I looked at more of the evidence and not the goals. So not changing the goals, but looking at the evidence. And I think we just need to have a discussion with Dr. Talbot about which evidence could potentially be something that we want to add into as evidence that we want to add into the evaluation. So, I don't know if it's, so we just have to make that.
So, okay, so a goal that I added was that by June 2026, we would increase the percentage of students in grades 3 through 8 meeting or exceeding proficiency on New York State ELA and math assessments by 5% compared to the 2025 baseline data. This is a goal that we had last year, and it is not in this year's goals. I also added that I'm having like a really hard time what the problem is here. I added, that we want to reduce chronic absenteeism by a percentage. We want to increase participation in advanced coursework for the 26-27 school year. So what I'm adding to this document is to drive student achievement, and we have yet to figure out when we would even talk about it.
So
It was in a work session that I brought it up.
right. So what I said to you, I looked at the document. For me, I'm in support of looking at the evidence, some evidence to be added. So you had your suggestion on goals, and my thought process is on the evidence.
Madam President, I do second Trustee Messman's wants in this and how it's student driven. I too would like to see some of these metrics work. I would like to see a decrease in chronic absenteeism. I would like to see our students achieve higher on whatever exams they may be taking, whether it's iReady or any other state exams, by a reasonable amount. I'm not sure what reasonable is. Is 5 too much? I'm happy with progress. I'll take 1 or 2%. I want to see progress in the right direction. That's what I will take.
And I think some of the things that from last year for the evaluation in terms of, you're not the only one. I think every single board member that's sitting here, as well as Dr. Talbot and the cabinet, wants to see improvement in test scores, students being absent from school. That the key is this, one thing that we found last year, and Dr. Talbot, correct me if I'm wrong, is that by the end of June of 2026, some of that data that we had looked for last year could not be in there. So maybe it's something that we need to say projected further out, not in terms of being absent, but it's more in terms of improving the scores. It all depends on when the scores come in. So if the tests are in June, they're not going to have all that data in place in order to be part of the evaluation. So that will be my concern of adding in. So we are all on the same page that all of us want to see improvement in scores, whether it's at the elementary level, at the middle school, or at the high school. The question is, when will these results come in? And when they come in, they may not come in a time frame in order to be part of the evaluation. So we're all asking for the same thing. But the problem is that it may not be able to be part of the evaluation because of when the results come in. The exams, the regions are in, if we're looking at regions, AP, those take place in early June or mid-June. So
Well, Madam President, and maybe the superintendent can weigh in on this. I believe all, or if not a majority of our students are starting their initial iReady assessments this week. Is that correct? To obtain that baseline and see where they are.
So you're correct, but I think with that data is provided to us and was provided to us last year at the end, and I mean at the, in mid-year. So it was provided last year, so it was provided at the initial and then at the end.
So
So
can
I
we-
think what what trustee Messman was talking about was other data that would be applied, so.
Yes,
So-
well, but the iReady on here just says strengthen. So I just, my suggestions are to make it more quantitative and not qualitative, to make it a goal that you can actually measure improvement towards. Whether or not it's achieved is a moot point. You want to set a goal and you want to see how well you can get to it. We want our top students to keep moving up, and we want our lower tier students to keep moving up. We don't want to close the gap. We don't want our top students to come down to meet the lower students. It's just, what I've asked in this document is a lot of data. And I'm having a really hard time how this Board of Education hasn't considered it further and is willing to talk about it during a board meeting.
Any other comments on this? Any other thing under old business or new business?
Yeah, when I was going back through the minutes, we had a stop arm program agreement that was tabled in August. This was a safety pilot that we did last year, I believe, in transportation. I haven't seen that agreement come back, so are we not participating in that this year?
That agreement is still under review by legal. There were several changes that had to be made, and hopefully we'll have it for the October meeting.
Okay, thank you. Again, when I was going back through the minutes and my notes, on August 25th, I questioned why the library change orders hadn't been brought to the school district for approval. Since all of that, because the district owns the library property in simple terms. And I was told that there was going to be follow-up with the library director because they had approved change orders in July. So is there an update on that?
So legal did provide the board with a memorandum as to the district's responsibility. And as we checked with the New York State Department portal, where all change orders are made, we provided the board with an update, what was there, which was nothing at the time. There was a recent request for a permit to continue the work, but there has been no submitted change orders for us to bring before the board.
But the library board approved change orders for the cost for the removal of contaminants in the groundwater with their dewatering process.
So I
So
do
that's
know-
in their minutes.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
I can't talk to the library minutes, but I do know that legal, along with our business official, has been meeting with the library director. And when there is a finalized update regarding the latest matters, we will receive an update.
Okay. Thank you. Have we learned anything from the new traffic pattern at the high school? When Nate Spence was here, he talked about, monitoring if the light needed to be adjusted at Riverside. Is that necessary, or how are things looking?
So there's been no change with the timing of the lights, but the Department of Transportation has asked that we reconsider the number of buses traveling on Merrick Road. So conversations are underway about an alternative exit for all of the buses, not to be split between Merrick and East Lake Street. And so we should have an update on that by next week.
Okay.
So is that a discussion with the village now? Okay, thank you.
Um,
Are you moving off to a different subject, or I have a follow-up?
no,
on
no,
that
I was
same
gonna
subject?
jump on, so go ahead.
Okay, have there been any report on if there'll be a crossing guard that the Department of Transportation will provide on Merrick Road?
No, the Department of Transportation will not provide any crossing guards. In last week's transmittal, we provided the board with all of the intersections where crossing guards are presently placed, as well as those we have requested. And the Amityville Police, as well as the Suffolk County Police, have reported there are continued shortages of crossing guards. If anyone knows anyone who is interested in serving as a crossing guard, please have them to contact. They can contact us. We will refer them directly to the police departments, but there remains a shortage of crossing guards in both Amityville and Suffolk County.
Thanks, Chris. I had that down here, so I thank you. I requested when the Sports Hall of Fame had come up, there was some questioning from community members because it looked like it was a district event. It's tied to the district, but it's not sponsored by the district. And in some written correspondence, I had requested a list of committees. And it was the middle of August and the school year started, but I do want to come back to that. I did want to see the list of the committees and the charges within the district and like the participants. If it's an annual appointment or how does that work? And just if that could be summarized.
I think we provided an update on the committees in the district. There are not very many committees other than.
No, not the ones that the board sits on, like the curriculum advisory committee, like the charge and how are people appointed and how is it annual and whatever else that I might not be aware of. I don't know. The board members are aware of every group that meets within.
Within the school district, within
Yes.
the schools?
Yes.
We have brainstormed that list, and I believe the Curriculum Advisory Committee is about the only standing committee right now. The other committees that were very active over the course of the federally funded years with grants consisted of several committees, such as the
Digital Literacy Committee, there was an ELA committee, a grading committee.
MTSS committee,
Yes, MTSS, the World Language Committee.
Athletic Eligibility
Yes.
Committee. There were several committees that were in place, and when the grants expired, the committees expired.
Okay. Thank you. I have more thoughts, but I'm going to keep going on that. I had community members reach out to me that there are not monitors on every bus in the morning and the afternoon. And I would just like confirmation that there's plans for monitors on every bus, morning and afternoon.
For pre-K through 2, there should be a monitor on every bus, AM and PM. I would have to get back to you regarding grades 3 and higher, but there should be a monitor on every bus for pre-K through 2.
Okay, and then you're going to confirm the plan for Park Avenue and higher. Because I've heard that the bus, there's a lot going on the bus and students might be in need of a monitor so that for their behavior and that so the bus drivers are not distracted. I have one other thing and it's probably new business, but so I can give the mic to somebody else. There was,
Megan, you can keep going even if it's new business.
okay, there was a decent amount of money, I don't know, $1 million, say, in the budget associated with like software updates. And I don't remember the specifics. I had queried it at the time when we were doing the budget, and I just would request an update. I can't tell from this appropriations report because it was the end of July of where we stand. Are we implementing everything that we thought we were going to, and what's the progress? Yeah.
Yeah. So, Dr. Talbert, I sent you an email a couple days ago. I'm not sure if you had the chance to get to it yet. My question was, I had seen in the past that Edmund W. Miles around this time was doing a STEAM, what do you want to call it? A STEAM fair. And I remember attending that, and they do some kind of demonstration on robotics and some other things and virtual reality. Is anything like that happening at the middle school this year?
I apologize for not getting back to you. We did follow up with the middle school regarding your request. And there has not been a STEAM fair at the middle school for the last 3 years. If there is a piqued interest, there was discussion about doing a survey and seeing if that would be an activity or an event that the staff and students would like to include in their calendar year. So I did have the conversation with the building administration, and those are the next steps.
Thank you, Dr. Talbert. I also sent you a second email last week. I'm not sure if you got the chance to answer that one yet, but it had to do with a meeting that we had in August, and it involved Net Generation and the United States Tennis Association. So we had an initial meeting, so everyone knows Net Generation is a 501c3. It's funded through the United States Tennis Association, and we had this initial meeting to see if our district would be good for a program in which they provide each building with tennis rackets, tennis balls. They provide some kind of curriculum. They provide professional training. I mean, we have, what, 8 tennis courts, no varsity team. So I sent an email to see how things were going because we're kind of in tennis season now. Is there any kind of update?
Yes, we did follow up on your request with that as well, regarding the USA Tennis Net. Ms. Stevens, you have an update for us?
I didn't receive anything.
No, we followed up on it. We didn't necessarily send a
okay.
response. So Mr. Farkas was in conversation with the USTA contact. They are working on scheduling a date for the training of staff. That's the status right now.
Who's the appropriate person for me to follow up? Who should I address my email to? That's my question.
Dr. Talbot, I would do it to Dr. Talbot, and then from that point, she can forward over to whoever else. So you address it to the superintendent, and if you want to CC someone else, but you always address it to the superintendent.
Yep, that's what I did. So, okay.
Any other new or old business? No. At this time, community input on non-agenda items. Just come to the mic and give your name.
Okay, good evening, members of the board. My name is Tara Mays. And
Tara Mays.
Yes.
Okay. Just hold on one second. You ready, Emily? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, my name is Tara Mays. I live at 70 Graybarn Lane in Amityville, and I've worked in the district for 16 years. And I'm here tonight because staff morale is at an all-time low due to repeated incidents of disrespect and unprofessional behavior from certain administrators. This isn't an isolated issue, and I hope the board will take steps to investigate and support a healthier work environment. Specifically, I have personally been shouted out and spoken to in a demeaning and unprofessional manner.
So hold on just one second. It's personnel, so I may have to have you stop. And if you want,
I can rephrase it.
If you want to give us,
I'm not.
so she said you're not talking about a particular person.
So,
Okay, no, but I'm talking about administrative. You're not talking about a particular administrator. Is that what you're saying?
in general,
I think you'd be better. Yeah. Just give her the mic. Just give her the mic.
Really in a manner to make sure that there's no allegations of defamation or anything of that nature. Typically, a matter like that would be addressed with your supervisor or the superintendent or the cabinet so that it can be addressed more at the level of what the concern is as opposed to straight to the Board of Education. And typically matters involving personnel are not talked about publicly because it could implicate, the personnel.
without even saying who it is.
Right.
Not allowed to speak on it.
The issue is that if it becomes easy to identify who the person is, then it becomes problematic for the,
Well,
it
that's
could become.
opinionated. If you can identify.
Yeah,
it.
for sure it is. But it's the policy of the board in terms of public participation. If there is an issue with regard to personnel or students or something of that nature, the response is to typically take it to the superintendent or the cabinet to address closer to where the problem originates.
And if you put it in like in an email to us, we're not going to respond back. We'll give it to the superintendent and it'll be investigated that way.
Yeah, it's been 57 days since I had emails responded to.
All right, so
unanswered.
that would be my recommendation. If you also want to talk to your union rep for your building as well.
On that.
All right, so if I would just follow up, if you want to send another email to us, then send an email to
So
us.
to speak on the issue that is.
No, you're better off because if it's something that needs to be looked at, it's a personnel matter and we can't discuss that.
Well,
We,
it's like the culture within the
we can't,
district.
we really can't discuss that. So I would say if you want to put it in a letter to us and give it to us, then we'll be more than welcome, more than happy to take that letter. If you have something written right now, if you want to make a copy of it, we can take that information to you. If you want to talk to us over to the side, we can do something like that, but not at the mic. We can talk to you afterwards if you want to do that. Okay? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Evan Farkas, President of the Amityville Administrators
So, hold
Association.
on a second, just hit the, go ahead.
Good evening. On behalf of the Amityville Administrators Association, I want to sincerely thank you for approving our contract. It has been a long road to get here, and your support represents a major step forward. We are grateful that you listen to our concerns and work with us to reach a fair agreement. Although there is much more work to be done, this leaves us hopeful for the future. This contract provides a foundation we can all build upon, and we look forward to being an important part of moving this district forward together. Thank you again for your commitment to collaborating and recognizing the value of our work. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Emery, just,
Good evening, Nakia Wolf, Amityville Teacher Association President, 100 Court North Drive. First and foremost, I would like to say thank you to the board for the tenure recommendation appointments this evening. We are looking forward to celebrating with those members as they become valuable members of the Amityville School District community. I am also very happy to see that we have a member who is going to be returning from our Pell list. We went through a very difficult time where it is that we lost a huge percentage of our membership. We lost teachers who made valuable impact and connection with our students. So it's great to see that we are moving to a point where it is that we can start bringing teachers back when there are positions available. Also, I would like to say thank you for us getting back a human resources person. There are many items that we are looking to bringing to closure. And so I'm happy that the central office has the ability to have someone dedicated to making sure we get those items closed out. Thank you.
thank you.
Good
Emery,
evening.
hold on a second. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Good evening, I'm Sierra Petaway, a parent here in the community.
I'm sorry, Petaway is the last name?
Petaway, yes. Trying to see where to begin. I have a son who has an IEP, and it came to my knowledge that it's not being followed through. He also lost the para that he had, and we were not informed that that was going to happen. The para that he now has is Spanish is their first language. It is very hard for him to understand her. He is on track to be on the Honor Society, and I feel like this may deter his want to learn, his want to be in school. I found out from his old para that she would not be with him anymore, and I think that's something that shouldn't happen. I should have received some type of notice from pupil personnel.
Can I
did-
just interrupt for a second? I just want to make sure, just kind of pause it. Just kind of pause it. I just have to ask, so have you gone through the,
I have gone, I'm gonna get there.
okay, so you've talked to everyone?
I have gone everywhere. I
Talk
even
to-
tried to come to the district office and was told by the lead security that no one there would speak to me.
Ooh.
He then told me that I should go back to PPS, and I then went back to PPS. I took off from work just to try to rectify this whole situation. This was on
Okay.
Friday. When I got there, again, I now finally get a call from the director and am told that I should get something to kind of tell me how things will be going on Friday. It did not happen. They then told me that I would get something on today. It did not happen. I did advise that if I do not get anything, I will be reaching out to my attorney.
All right, so can I just ask you,
Mhm.
so therefore we can get more details?
Absolutely.
After the meeting, if you want to either talk to Dr. Talbot or Mary Stevens and address it right then and there, so therefore all the complete details can be explained. Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Just don't go anywhere.
Hello, Caroline Fanning.
Hi.
Three separate things that I wanted to address. The first is the treasurer's reports, which are monthly. And it sounded like the conversation about the monthly treasurer's reports devolved into a debate about an annual audit report. And they're not the same. And I think it's really important to keep the two of them separate because when I was on the board, it was an ongoing theme that what ought to be provided in a monthly timely manner was always delayed or frequently delayed. It was late. And oftentimes the excuse was, well, we are waiting for the auditor's report. They're not the same. So I would support Trustee Messman's request that every month, because it's on the monthly agenda, you get a monthly treasury report that is hopefully no more than 1 month past due. And when I say past due, it's because I understand it takes time to close the books. And even if it's a month late, it might not be finalized, but you're a smart group of people. You can handle that. Things are in flux. And if you have a question, you should have a superintendent of finance. He's not here tonight, but I assume you have one to answer those questions, who's able to be on their toes and be like, okay, maybe you misunderstand this because we're still finalizing something. So monthly treasurer's reports, you shouldn't have to wait for that. You shouldn't have to request it. Second, the superintendent goals. Trustee Mesman mentioned the 5% rubric or metric or whatever. I'm gonna guess that was because 1 year ago, that was a superintendent's own proposed goal for herself. So it sounds like that a trustee was simply following the superintendent's track of saying, okay, you want to set this goal, we're going to hold you to it. But now there needs to be follow-up. So I don't understand why there's pushback against this 5% metric when 1 year ago, the superintendent herself said, we're going to set a 5% improvement goal for the core subjects. Measurable goals are important. Lastly, my final thing is This is my first time seeing all of you since I resigned. I'm the trustee who stepped down, and I have so many mixed emotions about that. I feel terrible about it. I wish I was still there with you. I wish I was able to continue. I'm here now because I am a parent. I have 2 high schoolers. I care so deeply about the success of the district. You have 3 options on the table. You can appoint, you can leave it vacant, or you can hold a special election. But I can tell you right now, if you choose to appoint someone, this district is so divided, there is so much distrust that you're going to make it worse. So I vehemently oppose appointing someone. Either leave it vacant or have an election, but do not appoint. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Wendy Canestro. The business official was appointed in May, and he's missed several meetings already. Good job reversing his termination. Welcome to the HR person. I'm thrilled that you're here. You have a great background. Hopefully, you could bring some stability and some sanity to this district. To the teacher who was talking about the culture, I'm sorry you got cut off. You could certainly talk about the culture, but we're here to not talk about things like that and present it in another way. Minutes need to be done in a timely manner, but when I was on the board, just so those who don't know, I was on the board, the president had them, wouldn't share them with the board till the last minute, so we were unable to see it. There's a reason that we have a district clerk to look at the film and to take notes. The board president isn't to take notes and do all this. That's not her job. She inserts herself as an employee or administrator. That's what we have a clerk for, who's more than capable. Those need to be done in a timely manner, and the community needs to see those. Trustee Leon brought up that the board made a request about the corrective action plan, that the risk assessment and requests are being made. It's outrageous, outrageous that the board is requesting something and it's not being done. I know most of you have no experience in other districts. I do. I sat on 2 other boards. It's outrageous. This doesn't happen. The board requests something and it gets done. But then again, you have a board president shielding the superintendent from accountability by voting down resolutions. Not shocked. Facility use, Trustee Nearing brought up, are we going to charge them? Well, the policy says you may charge them, not that you're going to charge them. I was vehemently opposed to charging, as was Trustee Messman, double taxation. We already pay a ton of taxes. Why you're going to charge them again? You got $2 million extra from the state under the guise that Northeast was going to close, which was a sham because Northeast was never on the table with the Board of Education. It's the cost of doing business. You have to, I'm a fiscal conservative. You have to learn when to spend money and when not to. For democracy, you spend money. To a point, just to get a shill, already had it happen. You don't have a lot of trust from the community. Bad idea. I agree with former trustee Fanning. As far as the wellness committee, I don't see that that came up again. I saw that that was conveniently tabled, being that the wellness committee and the expert from BOCES had recommended that recess not be used as a punishment. It should never be used as a punishment, but I know that you wanted to get through with that code of conduct for it to be used. Terrible idea. You should have your wellness policy meeting soon. Let's see what else. Oh, I went to the village meeting. I just came from there. ATA, you got approved for what you needed. Last thing, I'll be very quick. You had said that there was a meeting about the culvert project where the superintendent, the board president was invited to talk about it. Ms. Johnson, you said that the mayor only wanted you and nobody else, and that's why nobody else was asked. You have a first vice president as a designee if you can't make something. The mayor responded that he would have met with anybody, and that wasn't true. Bye.
Jacqueline Stevenson. I just wanted to mention something that I mentioned before at the last meeting or the meeting prior regarding the empty seat. I feel that the community should definitely have input in deciding who gets that seat. As I mentioned before, the community has already decided. We just had an election a few months ago. And why not go with, look at the votes, the number of votes that the person who did not win received, or and offer that position to that person. If they decline, go with the next person. So you wouldn't have to spend money on another election. You've already had an election just a few months ago. That was my suggestion, and it's still my suggestion. To me, it makes sense. The other thing is, as a parent, just sitting here listening, I'm very, very, very disturbed after hearing someone who's worked here for 16 years start to complain and mention about just the way that they are being treated. And I hope that the board does some sort of follow up, because honestly, the board has a tendency to say they're going to follow up with people, and it does not happen. I can list the things that I was told in meetings. I'll get back to you, and I have not received a response. So I really hope that the person that came up here receives some sort of follow up, because to me, like I said, as a parent, that's very, very concerning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wendy Canestra again. To piggyback on emails, many of you may know I was just on the board this past year, and you haven't gotten a response by email for 57 days. I am still awaiting emails from the board president and the superintendent from when I was on the Board of Education. So I'm not shocked by that either. You know, leadership starts at the top, and if there's no leadership, it trickles down to your employees, trickles down to your students, and that's why you have a terrible culture here. Lastly, the treasurer's report. Again, great job reversing that termination. To do an appropriation status report, all you have to do is press a button on the system. You get current appropriation status reports. It's actuals versus budget versus actuals. You should be getting that. In fact, your risk assessment report noted that you're not getting a full treasurer's report. Outrageous. I cannot believe, well, I can believe, I shouldn't say that. I absolutely believe that the superintendent put something half-assed on the agenda.
Any other community input on non-agenda items? Can I have a motion to adjourn at,
So without specifically, stating.
just bring the mic up.
Without specifically stating the departments and certain personnel, I just want to just reiterate to the board that they really do need to look into the culture of the staff members and the way that teachers, teaching assistants, support staff are being treated. When they have important things that need to be expressed, there should be someone that could be held accountable to address those issues. And 57 days is very, very unacceptable to have waiting for a response or some type of feedback from unanswered emails. It's very, especially things that are very important, that's affecting, the learning capacity that's within the school, within summer school, that's affecting the children that go to summer school, and it's affecting the staff and their ability to do their jobs. So I think that that's very important, and it gets very overlooked. People are afraid to come here and speak in front of you guys because they don't want a target on their back. They don't want, people to be watching them or feel like they're going to be retaliated against by speaking up and bringing important issues to the board. Also, I just want to ensure that, that all staff, especially like supervisors, administrators, are held to professional standards when working with colleagues and supporting students. It took 57 days, and I'll repeat that again, 57 days went by before this matter could even be acknowledged
Just leave the mic close.
or
to your mouth.
addressed due to the lack of emails being unanswered. And I asked for my concerns to be documented, and I was laughed at and told that there was no HR, there's no human resource. So I'm thankful that today someone was inducted to take on that responsibility, and I look forward to speaking with you.
Thank you. Any other community input on non-agenda items? We have a motion to adjourn at 9:31.
Motion.
Ms. Darren is first.
Second.
Juan Leon is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you for coming out.